Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the most recent edition of Jetpacks to the Bank. As our Phillies got, I think, a good word as Barkham probably would use torched in to use a Michael Barkhan-esque thing to start by the Marlins in a 7-game series. 2 wins. I thought we could at least get 3 wins. Can't even do that. So it's what it is. Scott Kingery though did come back, get one hit, the podcast namesake. So good for him. Um, there's a positivity piece. And what's his name? McCutcheon also hit a homer, so there's another thing. And Harper had a hit again after struggling big time until he hit that double in a salvage time of the one game that we lost 5-3. But overall, which there's a lot of them, what's your biggest disappointment in this series?
The whole team. I think it's top to bottom. This was an embarrassment. It's pathetic. There's no excuse for it. This team should be better than this. It goes from top to bottom. This goes from players. This goes from Matt Klentak. Being the whole front office is incompetent of putting out a team that is a true contender. I mean, they've been here for how long? They've never once showed any signs of being anything special, and you give these guys Matt Klentak extensions. Like, I mean, I think it's time. I forget who it was brought it up last night on Chasing the Pennant, and I honestly forgot about the extension. I think that needs to resurface about how dumb that was to extend Matt Klentak and company, whatever his name is, Andy McPhail as well. To bring back this because this has been the issue for the last 3 years. It's ridiculous at this point. I'm fed up with it. I'm sure you are as well, and the rest of the city. But in terms of this series, I mean, I think today you got to pinpoint the offense. I mean, the offense has been atrocious this series. You go back to back games with only one run, and then today you only get 2 runs. I know the first game was on the bullpen there. You were up 6-1 and found a way to lose that game. So the same story with the stupid bullpen and not having a guy in there that can pitch at all. If it's not one guy, it's the next guy giving up a run. Tommy Hunter looks like we were on here the other day. I was giving Tommy Hunter praise about how well he turned his season around, and now he stinks again. He can't pitch without giving up a run. I mean, the only guy in this bullpen that it seems like you can trust at this point is JoJo Romero and Blake Parker. I mean, shout out to them for two guys you would have sat here never thinking you would say at the
Yeah,
beginning of the year that Parker and Romero would be your two most trustworthy relievers. Neris has looked a little better, but overall, I mean, I think we'd still say we're not sure he's going to put up a zero when he comes in. Um, but no, this is top to bottom. Every player is responsible at this point. I don't want. I get it, you can use the injury excuse here, but I mean, you were starting to fall and lose these games before Hoskins and Real Muto went down. So I really don't think today would have went much different, even with them in the lineup. I still don't think you win this game. And you know what? And while I'm sitting here on this rant, um, to call out the front office even more. You sat here at the deadline and you knew what you needed. And I mean, I know we were on here saying it. I don't know how many reporters were saying it, and I've been on here before. Hazley and Quinn are basically equal players, and you had a guy in Starling Marte that you were linked to for I don't know how long this season
yeah.
so far.
Hazley's
And
been hitting like 416 recently. I don't
and,
think they're equal players. If you're
and
the
you
one
let.
that thinks they're equal players, I think Hazley's better than Quinn.
I mean, Hayes is not that good, so if he's better than Quinn,
How is
so
he
be it.
not that good? He's hitting
But
412 recently.
but real quick
He had one bad game.
real
He
quick
did
before
good
that.
when he came back.
Real quick before I address that, you had the guy that you were linked to the entire season so far, and you let the Marlins beat you out for it, and he kills you this series. He made you look stupid not going out and getting him. That's Starling Marte. I mean, that made this series so much more
Well, that's
frustrating.
because the Phillies have nothing to get him. Your farm system sucks because you suck at drafting. You have a few good top prospects who now both of them are up. And then you have Stott. Everyone else we think can be good. If you ask people around the league, they'll tell you they're not very good because a lot of them were Reese Hoskins. So if you like, they would have to become what Reese Hoskins has become now, which was not a top prospect, but he got caught up and did better than people thought. That's why when he went into a slump, really thinking about what people expected him to be, it wasn't too surprising. But the fact that he came back out of it means he actually is a good player in the league. And then unfortunately, he just got injured at a very unforeseen time. So that's what you need to hope a lot of our younger guys become, where with guy like Hazley's hitting 412 recently. I don't agree with you on Hazley. I think he's 50 times better than Quinn. He's also not made of glass. So that
I
that
mean, he's been up 2 years and he's got hurt 2 back-to-back years. So,
But I mean, I think he's way better than Quinn. I mean, the dude's up at 288 now, and I remember in the pre-video I did, he was hitting, other than this game, he's been hitting really good. His last seven's 368 since he got called back up.
wait, he
Where
said 288 now after a good recent stretch, but if you go before that, he was hitting 250 when last time we did a show. So I mean, he's an up and down player. I don't think he's light years ahead of Quinn, as you're saying. I mean,
I
think
think
they're
he's a
pretty.
better hitter than Quinn.
I'm pretty. I think they're similar players. I think they're. I mean, I'm not saying career. I mean,
because
future
Quinn
wise,
doesn't usually hit
future
above
wise,
250.
future
Hey, he
wise,
was
I'd
doing good
say.
this.
Future wise, I'd say Hazley. But right now, I don't think you can sit here and say that Adam Hazley's light years above Roman Quinn. I mean, Roman Quinn was
I don't think
hitting the
he's
ball
light
well.
years above him. I just think he's better than him.
You just say he was like 50 times better than.
But I do think well, that's also because Quinn is lucky. He's a very lucky baseball player. He has speed. He wouldn't catch half of the
But
crap he
he's
runs
lucky.
to
He's lucky for using
if he
his
didn't have speed. No, I'm saying he's like D. Gordon in the outfield. It's not that he runs a good route. It's that he can sprint faster than anybody on the team. So he's going to catch it even if he runs a dog trash route. It's like Shane has said in Chasing the Pennant before. He's not very good at picking where to go to the ball. He got a little bit better at it this year. But the reason he catches a lot of balls that have a 90% catch probability while on the run is because he doesn't run a good route. He runs a Matt Joyce-esque route where he has to make but Matt Joyce is slow as molasses, so he has to make a basket catch rather than for Quinn it would be a regular catch, but he's still catching it on the run. If you have the speed of Roman Quinn, you should be able to get to some balls he catches on the run before you have to catch it literally on the dead run, because he has ones that are up in the air for a while that he still ends up having to catch on the run because he thinks it's going to die quick or whatever. Where the Phillies also have that was Bryce's problem in Washington that it seems he fixed coming here in his final year. His final year in DC, one of his issues was dead liners that were kind of going over. He couldn't judge or really high line drive, but he obviously fixed that here. How, I have no idea. I think it was more he was just worried of injury in his contract year for him. But the Phillies, I mean, Hazley Quinn are not really the problem. The problem is you have Harper struggling a little bit. He got a hit today, but he's not playing like the normal Bryce at a time when Hoskins and JT went down. Hoskins is now on the IL. JT, I would assume, is going to be on the IL if they didn't put him on yet. So that's the biggest issue with this team. You're not going to have two of your stars, and realistically, any of our mixture of stars have kind of been the guys that have come up clutch every game. Or in a couple games, like I said, since he's been back. And I know T-Mac even said this on one telecast. So has Hazley. That's why, like, Quinn doesn't tend to always, when he's up with the key moments, seem to be composed in there, and neither does Goose lately. Goose needs to get going again too. And I love Gosselin, but Gosselin's been struggling, and that's probably because he's getting overplayed. He's not a guy that's supposed to play as much as he's playing. He's supposed to be like a utility depth piece. But Bohm struggled today. Other than that, he's doing great. So that's a pass. I mean, he just had a bad game. Kingery, it's nice to see get a hit in his first game back after getting a walk off before he got injured. So hopefully he can build on that. I would say the one positive, other than the fact that Kingery got a hit today, is Marquand looked pretty good in his first game, in my opinion. He got a hit on his first at bat. He also didn't strike out, and where he was supposed to be overmatched was at the plate. So he was able to get that nice off the hands and fight it up the middle for a hit, and he looked very good catching. So that's nice to see in a 21-year-old that got forced up early to have to play for you. So that's a positive thing, and we know how much Girardi and the coaching staff love the kid already. Right? They also love Logan O'Hoppe. So I think it's just Joe Girardi loves anybody that's a catcher, probably. But
I gotta respect the position he plays.
yeah, but Marcon is definitely a Chooch-esque guy. There we go. Good at defense. That's good at develop hitting. That's kind of what, except for the difference is he's a switch hitter. Chooch wasn't a switch hitter, so that's even more beneficial. So you have two switch hitting catchers in the system if Knapp can keep doing well, and then you could eventually probably trade Andrew Knapp or Marcon if you're not going to have 3 good catchers. That would be stupid. A very big race of a roster spot unless if one of them can play a completely different position. But no, that's a positive for me. And another positive, I guess. I mean, Bryce got the one hit. I mean, at least his swing seems better recently than it was a week ago when he was really struggling, and then he was 0 for 18, and then he got a hit after that. I don't know if you agree with that.
His swing looks better. I think his is more timing issue than anything. It doesn't seem like his timing's there. Like to me, he's still seeing pitches the same. I think you texted me a couple times with some of his swings. I mean, he just seems like he's later and just missing pitches than he usually is here and there. So I think his biggest thing is timing, just getting that back down the road or back on track. I think what was it? I think the second game they won this series, he had like 3 or 4 hits that game, and then like you said, he hit the ball hard a couple times today, and then it ultimately got the one hit. So I think he's slowly coming back. Obviously, he's not where we want him to be, but I think I mean Mets don't have the easiest pitching to hit, and he'll have to face the ground this week. So I'm not gonna sit here and say he's gonna go on a tear. But I think his swing's slowly coming back. It'll be interesting to see what he does this week. I think we got Porcello tomorrow, maybe, so maybe you can jump on that. If not, I think Porcello is one of the games this series. I forget if it's tomorrow or the last game of
He's
the series.
tomorrow.
And then you get Toronto on the weekend, which maybe can take care of some or take advantage of some of that pitching because they don't have the best pitching. But because Purcell pitched well against us last time, I think.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously, again, nothing easy. A former Cy Young winner there. Then you go against Degrom, and then Seth Lugo has been pretty good this year with a 2.63 ERA. So not the easiest of pitchers for this Mets series, but a series I really want to see him take advantage of is Toronto because I mean I don't know what they're doing on the year. Obviously, they got a couple good arms there, but I think Harper should be able to get some of that timing down for the weekend series. But obviously, hopefully, the Mets. But just some tough names there to get back on track for. But like
Yeah.
you said, he looked better today in
The
his
thing
last
is,
couple
on
games.
paper, Toronto ain't better than us. Performance-wise, they're significantly better than us.
Oh yeah,
They're 26 and 20. So if they
yeah.
keep playing the way they're playing, we're going to get mollywopped.
I'm trying to think of all their pitchers. I know they got
Like,
Angel Ryu, they got Tanner Roark. Then they traded for
uh,
Ross Stripling at the deadline and
yeah, which I'm assuming
Ron Walker.
he's probably going to be one of those games, would be my guess.
'Cause that's a four
Uh,
game set, right?
because
Maybe
you
even
got a
5.
4 game set. You got Walker, you got a potential of Walker, Ryu, Roark, Stripling, and whoever the 5th person is. I can't remember who the. So that's everybody, and then whoever their 5th guy. I think it. Do they still have Barucki? Maybe. I don't. It's one of those guys that they've had for a while. But either way, they're a team that tends to have more innings eaters if your name's on Hunjin Ryu compared to guys that like are dominant. They have guys that can pitch very like more competitive games rather than to give up 4 eat innings, not the guys that you go, okay, this guy's one of the best pitchers. Chase Anderson's their other starter. That's who it is.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks like they don't even start Ross Stripling because he's not under the rotation, guys. So it's Ryu, Roark, Anderson, Walker, and Robbie Ray is another name we forgot.
Yeah, I forgot they traded for Robbie Ray, who's having a down year.
Which
This
they were the
year.
ones that traded for Ross Stripling, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I wonder if he got hurt because he's not even under bullpen. So I don't know if he's hurt or if they just have him down on the taxi squad for now and trying to fix him a little bit. I know he's struggling, but yeah, he's not in the rotation or the bullpen spot according to their depth chart on BlueJays.com. So I don't know what's going on there.
gotcha. But either way, they have more, like we said, other than Ryu battling pitchers than dominant, disgusting stuff pitchers. Now, when Pearson's pitching, they have, but that's unfortunately not the case for Blue Jays fans. So, whenever he's back, yeah, you got a very good 2-headed horse. And then they have another prospect pitcher that I'm blanking what his name that I'll probably remember after we finish the video.
That's what always happens, right?
So, but either way, they're set for the future. Where the Phillies kind of, or no, not really. We have Mick Abel.
Well,
Like,
Here's the thing. I like Spencer Howard, obviously, but are you concerned at all with back-to-back seasons with that shoulder stiffness at all? Or do you think it's just a young thing adjusting? 'Cause I honestly forgot about it last year, and then I was reading with how bad the season's going right now, maybe we just should shut down. I forget what it was. But they were saying maybe the Phillies should think about shutting down Howard for the season just because you only got a few, obviously, what? You got 14 games left now, so he's only going to make, well, he's on the IL, so he might not make a start anyway, but he'll make maybe one start when he gets back before the playoffs. But you don't want to kind of ruin his shoulder more before the really prime spot of his career next year under a full season.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting decision because Spence had that last year. Granted, the guy we traded to the Marlins, who's now pitching like the second coming of Pedro Martinez, also had issues with his arms and so on and so forth. And that's part of why I think the Phillies were okay with getting rid of him because of durability concerns, potentially. Because that's the only concerns you should have with Sito Sanchez. If you have
Yeah.
any other concerns with him, I don't know what game you're watching. So, like, it should really only be durability. So I think maybe it's a mechanic. Like, you know how young guys have something that they once they change their mechanics, all of a sudden their injuries go down. I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's something that's just like a mechanical twerk of his arm, like how he throws the ball type thing. And then once you kind of hone that out and iron that out, it'll kind of be a problem that fixes itself. That's kind of what I'm hoping. And if you see him throw, sometimes it seems like he is a little quirky when he seems less confident. Like if there's a game like that one game he was just free and loose and ended up winning, getting his first major league win, he was a lot more free and loose. It looked like he was just firing the ball, and it was coming. In some other games, it looked like he was kind of hesitant and kind of like slinging it almost rather than throwing it, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So
I feel like at that point they're almost trying to locate more than actually, or not locate. Yeah, I guess I don't know if locate's the right word, but they're almost trying to place it more than actually pay attention to what they want. You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah, yeah, and that can also mess up your arm because you're overthinking everything rather than just throwing it nice and loose and free. You don't want to be overthinking everything on the mound. That is not going to really work. But anyway, I would say that he will be okay. I think it's just a thing you got to figure out. Now, would I shut him down if because he's on the IL? If when he comes back, he's eligible to come back, we're not in too pretty of a spot. Yeah, I don't think there's a point of pushing it. I also would expect pretty soon the Nationals, if they are coming back, which they don't have a very high percentage chance to do, um, then they should shut down Mad Max because he's been pitching a little bit better recently, but he seems like it's finally catching up to him just a smidge. All that extra pitching over the years, he will probably want to fight you for doing that. But you know,
Maybe he'll
sometimes
thank him next year though.
yeah, sometimes you got to do things that are better for when you're actually going to be a good baseball team and not 17 and 28. So I would I would say I obviously don't care what they do because I could give a look about the Nationals, but that would be a very good decision by them if they do that if they don't come back. And it's going to be interesting. Wheels might be in that category if he keeps having the thing because he said her pitch through it hurting. But if we keep having our September blunders like past years, eventually you're probably just going to tell Zach Wheeler, look, this is just, there's no point at you trying to mess up your hand even more going into the off season. You have a condition with your fingers already, so it takes longer for that to just heal on you than most people. So let's not push the envelope when we know we're not ready to actually compete yet. Like compete. Like not just make a postseason, like compete in the thing. So if he keeps having lingering stuff with his hand, I wouldn't be shocked if they try to do that too at a certain point. Now, obviously, if it gets the Mets, we can win these first two games or win 2 out of 3. Then yeah, you're going to be more confident, and then you see what happens in Toronto. But if we keep having the same September stuff that we were hinting at of the past few years, I wouldn't put it past them to debate shutting down Zach Wheeler also. As long if his hand's still bothering him, because there's no point of pushing the issue there if he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, you gotta be careful with these things, especially in the short year where we started seeing these freak accident injuries and everything. So it's gonna be it's it'll be interesting to see what they do. That's for sure.
Yeah, we
I, I,
probably
I,
back no idea we put it the you would have to put Suarez and JoJo probably in the rotation, and then they would basically be like the Rays. You would have two openers because neither of them are stretched out enough to go back to starting, unless if that's why they sent Ranger Suarez down. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
yeah.
Maybe that's why they picked him as a guy to go down. I don't know if you thought that too, but as soon as I saw it was Suarez because of injuries to Howard and also the fact that Wheeler was hands bombing him, I was thinking, I wonder if they sent him down to try to stretch him out more.
Yeah, that could be. Because hey, you gotta find a way to get these guys going. Obviously, if you want to save your season, if there's any hope in doing so. I will say, I don't know if you saw this. You mentioned Hoskins going on the IL. JT just came out and said, um, this tweet from John Clark. JT Realmuto says he doesn't think he'll be out too long. He has a strained hip flexor. His exact quote is, "We have to get healthy. Until we do that, guys, you're going to have to step it up. I'm pretty confident we're going to be just fine." And then to go further on Reese Hoskins, I don't know if you saw this part when went on the IL. Girardi said he hopes Hoskins isn't out for the season. So it seems like it's a pretty serious elbow
He
injury.
also he has the elbow. Okay, go.
It's what it says elbow. I thought it was his forearm, but maybe it's a mixture. I don't know. But yeah. So it's. I'll tell you what. I I don't know what they have to do, but this is beyond just the Phillies. But Philadelphia needs to figure out how to get this injury curse off our back. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
you're
unbelievable.
gonna have to put JT. I think if Hoskins is out for the year, I mean, unless if you think there's a better idea, if Knapp keeps doing what he's doing and Marquand holds his own, I think you're gonna have to put JT at first and tell him, look, you're playing first base. like,
No,
I
I
mean,
agree with you, especially because that'll be better for the hip.
yeah, oh yeah, that's also. I don't want to put him back at if Knapp actually plays well in his absence and Marquand continues to look solid as a backup. That's the other side of it. You're absolutely right. Do you want to put a guy right back at catcher with a hip flexor? Probably not.
No,
When he's
no,
also one of the
definitely
best
not.
hitters. Yeah. So, uh,
Especially if you do want to re-sign him and bring him back for 5 years.
no, that's probably not. Yeah, it's probably not a wise thing to do because that's probably a quick way to annoy somebody overplaying them when they have a hip injury at a position they have to sit down and bend their hip in order to play the position. It's not really the most ideal situation. And I know for a fact Girardi is not going to do that. He's a catcher. We talked about it. A former catcher is not going to put another catcher, I don't think, in a
In
bad
that spot.
situation.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. That's why, like yesterday, because Marquand, he knew, like people were, he put Knapp obviously in both of the things, but that's also because Andrew Knapp's what 25, 26. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a lot of tax on his leg. He's been a backup catcher. It's not like the dude's caught multiple innings every season. So, like with somebody like him, you can throw him in back-to-back games, and even in a doubleheader, because it's not like he's been overtaxed in his career at all. So, like this is his first year. He's finally put all in all together rather than just defense and framing. So, hopefully that continues because then we can kind of see what this kid can keep doing as a backup and JT can play first. So maybe in the long run it'll be a blessing in disguise because maybe you'll just have JT play more first base. The DH is most likely staying, let's be honest. So and
Yeah.
Hoskins can play DH. And then you just have Marcon is probably would be the guy that would eventually start catching and become your actual catcher. But for the start, I would think it would be Knapp because I can't imagine if Knapp finishes the season hitting 400, the team's going to be like, yeah, we're going to put Marquand as the starting catcher. So, yeah, I would say if they go that route and put JT or not JT at DH, reset DH, JT would play first, and then Knapp would probably start the season catching with potentially a veteran backup because I would think you would want to get Marquand more actual playing time in the minors opposed to him being a platoon backup in the majors. But we'll see where
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
But either way, this series obviously was very, very, very disappointing. We lost. We only won 2 of 7. I mean, I know in chasing the pennant, I said I think we could at least win 3 because I honestly didn't have high hopes going into the series. I just thought we could pull 3 of 7. I mean, it's the
I
more.
said 4. I just think, along with frustrate, the word I keep using, and this is This goes from the Eagles too, but like it's so deflating. Like there's so much excitement. You go out and win, what was it, 10 of
Look
11
at
or
the
whatever it
Phillies.
was. Where you got everyone back on board. It finally felt like there's excitement in the city again around the Phillies for once. Um, and you just lay an egg. Like it's just to me, my word on top of the frustrating and everything is it's just deflating because like it really just took everything out of me at least as a fan right now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we could at least get through. I didn't like all the matchups going in either because some of the Marlins pitchers that are not Pablo Lopez, who pitched really good today against us, have been really hot, and then all of a sudden Pablo Lopez found his tick against us. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
Um,
the other thing
but
is like the other thing on top of that is like how many more years are we gonna sit here and say, all right, we're gonna continue to try Vince? Like at what point? Like think
well,
about
I think
it.
this year is we don't have a choice.
That, well, they don't have a choice because they're not willing to move on from him. Like they go into it every year with, okay, this could be the year Vince turns it around. Like, I mean, how many years are we gonna go through this? Like, and I think that's what the most frustrating thing is. They never address the problem, and it's the same thing every single year. The same issue keeps coming up, and I think. At least for me, that's what makes it so frustrating, and it's not like it's a new thing here and there. It's the same issue that just continues to fail to be addressed.
Yeah, it's always the bottom of the rotation and then the bullpen. Um, unless if you're Blake Parker and JoJo. Where, like they said on the telecast, it seems like you're saying Blake Parker every day. It's like, and Blake Parker's coming to the wait a minute. Didn't he just pitch 5 days in a row? So, yeah, Blake Parker probably, in order for this team to have a chance to do anything, is going to have to turn back the clock to the 1960s and just be like, yeah, I'm going to pitch every day, boys. It's like, but we have 25 straight games. I don't care. Like, oh, okay, cool. Um, I guess
Eh,
like 24 out of 25 games. Um, where like their bullpen, you almost like it's one of those things where you like see coaches like it's almost like the coach is just like I don't know. What like what do you want me to do? Like put in a guy that says it's going to work out. He has a good matchup for his career against this guy. Then he hits a 550-foot home run, and you're like, oh, okay, well that didn't work. Um, so it's just not. Vince looked okay that one outing out of the pen, but he also walked. I think it was 4 people. He had 3 or 4 people in 2 innings. But he gave up no runs, so that's still not good. I mean, you just managed to work your way around walking, and then he gave up 4, which everybody's like, "Oh, this is a great start." No, it wasn't. He gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. It was a good start for Vince Velasquez,
exactly.
but 4 runs in 5 innings is not a good start. I have a feeling after this year will be the straw, but I also have a feeling they're going to pull Nick Pivetta and probably try him again next year for some stupid reason. And then during the season, they'll be like, yeah, this didn't work. And it's like, yeah, everyone saw that 2 years ago. And then they're move him for somebody that also probably isn't going to do much. But, the, we'll see what happens. Uh, but I do agree with you on what you hinted at earlier. If the Phillies really fall in September, they can't. I mean, if they want to have people actually come in excited into the seats and not just for opening day because it's opening day, like a lot of people have been doing the most recent years because it's just an event. After that, it's like much less attendance.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need to get a better GM if we fall again this year. You're going to need to get somebody that speaks more in the lingo of Philadelphia and not somebody that seems like a nice guy, but just doesn't seem to know how to do his job when it comes to running a high market team. Matt
Exactly.
Glenn seems like someone that should be running the Athletics, not the Phillies, because he makes a lot of small market moves with a big market team. So that's why I think he tries to like almost be a young like Billy Bean esque GM, and nobody is him.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to be able to be Moneyball. That's not. That's something that probably happens once. Now with the A's, it's happened about 4 separate times, but that's the Athletics. Exclude the Athletics, and that's probably a one for any team in baseball, once or twice in a lifetime thing where you just gather a team that doesn't have a lot of salary, but they just work with it. Like Kansas City was a team like that, but they also had stars that just didn't get paid yet. Nobody had a high salary clip, and they won the World Series. But that was also because that was before they had to pay everybody, of which then they couldn't do because they're Kansas City and they're a smaller market, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would still be sick. If they were a bigger market, they would still be disgusting. But yeah, the Phillies, as my closing point, is start acting like the market you're in. And I think that's kind of what we've been hitting at. You can't keep running the team worried about a luxury tax when you're in a market on the East Coast with the Yankees, Red Sox, why am I blanking on the Yankees, Red Sox, and then the Mets when they want to be a big market team. They probably will now with Cone. So well, not probably. The dude's a freaking multi-billionaire. They will be with Cone most likely. So like teams are going to start spending more and more, and it doesn't make a lot of sense when one of the richest owners in the city is supposed to be John Middleton, and we're spending the least. Like, okay, like let's start spending that stupid money.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you.
But what's your if you have another closing point since we're at the 30 minute? We went pretty long on this one.
I think it was ranting that had to get out. I think it was important. I think we were all frustrated, and it's something important to say. For me is listen. You got an important series starting tomorrow. You can't feel sorry for yourselves. You got to get ready. You got to get back out there and be ready to turn this around. You're back at Citizens Bank Park. Take advantage of that. The way you just put the situation you just put yourself in is you're in danger. I mean, we were sitting here and saying, I mean, it was we were pretty comfortable on where we were about a week ago. It's more a matter what seed do we fall in. It was if you take care of business against Miami, you can really start saying, okay, can we catch the Braves in the division? Well, now Miami's jumped you, and now you're sitting half game ahead of the Giants for that 8th spot. So now you're fighting for your playoffs. You're fighting for your playoff lives. I mean, listen, do I think we're going to get swept? Absolutely not. But here's a statement: if the Mets sweep us, we're no longer in a playoff spot. The Mets will jump us as well. You put yourself now; you're only 2 games ahead of the Mets. You got to take care of business starting tomorrow. You got to win 2 out of 3 here. Obviously, you do the math. If the Mets take 2 or 3, you're still going to be what would that be like a half game up on the Mets still, but you'll be feeling that pressure, and that's for sure. And you mentioned it earlier. I think the Nationals are basically done with where they're at. But I think if you do math, I think we're currently like 5 games up on them, and you got 4 left with them. Say you drop that ball, and now Nationals are chasing you as well. I mean, I know that's the following week. You got to take care of the Blue Jays first this weekend, but these division games are going to be big down the stretch. Uh, be ready. Yeah, you got to be ready tomorrow. I mean, I don't know about you. On top of actual gameplay, I'm not going to call out names, but I thought I saw a couple guys jogging around out there today, and I was a little disappointed in that. I'm not going to sit here and rip names, but overall, I'd like to see all these guys get back at having fun because it doesn't seem like they're having fun. And I thought a couple of them took some plays off in the field, and that was disappointing to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The Mets series is going to be interesting. I'm assuming if Wheeler doesn't pitch, because he didn't get put on the IL, did he? I don't
I've not
think.
seen so yet. No,
Yeah, I haven't seen so.
I know Arietta's tomorrow. That's clear.
Arietta's tomorrow, but I'm assuming Wednesday would ideally they would hope be if he can pitch. Zach Wheeler, if not, you're probably going to pitch Nola Wednesday against DeGrom would be my guess.
Yeah, where
Which
Nola pitched last? Do you remember?
that would be on one day short, I think. If he pitches that game, that might be on a one day
Did
because
he pitched in Saturday's win?
no, he pitched in uh, Friday, the game of the doubleheader.
Oh, yeah, it's doubleheader. Yeah, Friday. So it'd be Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
That
Tuesday.
actually is 5 days,
Yeah,
so
it's
that could
5 days. So
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
I expect Nola Wednesday, whether Wheeler can or not, pitch this week. I'd rather see Wheeler Thursday, where he doesn't have to go against DeGrom with that fingernail if he is pitching through an injury. That's me personally. I don't know what they'll do,
That's true. Yeah,
but
I would put him
I'd
against
rather go toe to
Lugo.
toe Nola v DeGrom.
Yeah, I would rather do that and put Wheels against Lugo. But we'll see what happens, and then we got to take care of Toronto. But we're preview that series, obviously, after this Mets series. That we know, other than us, one person that won't be happy if we get swept or lose 2 or 3 to the Mets, and that is Biscuit from Chasing the Pennant. He'll probably have a conniption fit, and it'll be hilarious on the podcast, but we don't need to see that, so just win Phillies.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. One last thing, real quick. Is UCL the one the injury that a lot of players get Tommy John for?
I believe so. Why? He was a UCL injury.
Because on Phillies.com, even though Girardi said elbow from the quote I read, on Phillies.com, their headline is Hoskins has UCL injury, no IL for Real Muto. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here speculate he's going to get Tommy John because obviously some guys might play through it or whatever. But that's why I thought UCL was the Tommy John surgery. So something to look out for the next couple of days, at least in my opinion.
Yeah,
That's
and
not good.
um, yeah. I mean, it says at first you usually try to do regular treatments, but Tommy John surgery is for UCL reconstruction. Um, so
What?
that would be kind of similar to Carl Crawford. Carl
Yeah.
Crawford had a issue with his elbow in the UCL, and he played through it until he couldn't play through it, and then he got the surgery.
I'll just say, luckily, I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt, but luckily it's his left arm, so at least maybe you can avoid it because it's not his throwing arm. But yeah, we'll
Well,
see
the
what
thing is
happens.
also Reese is a first baseman, where Carl Crawford was one of the better throwing outfielders,
Throwing
and then couldn't
outfielders.
throw for
Yeah,
a lick when he came back from like that destroyed his entire arm. That surgery, he couldn't
exactly.
even. He had accuracy, but he couldn't throw the ball anywhere.
Yeah,
Um, so luckily Hoskins is a first baseman or DH. I think he's probably gonna, like if we said if the DH stays, he's ideally a DH. So that will kind of help you out anyway because you don't have to overtax anything on the field.
absolutely.
But anyway, I think that's basically, as Steve would say on his channel, or Full 42. um, So this has been Jetpacks to the Bank. Hopefully, we have a much better series against the very hardcore rival Mets. Now, the Marlins should become a rivalry for this team. For some reason, they haven't played at that level with how they've been playing us, and also, of course, the outside nonsense. That should have became a rival, but it hasn't. And no one's played to that degree. But we know against the Mets, the Phillies usually play to the degree of a rivalry game because it's like the Penguins and Flyers. So hopefully that happens and we can take 2 of 3. I like our chances if Jake can just pitch a battling 5 inning game, say, in game 1, because I do think Rick Porcello will hopefully this time around he can jump on him. Let's put it that way, because he hasn't been good at all this season, except for against us and like 2 other teams. So let's not make it 4 starts.
No,
Uh,
absolutely agree. Yeah, let's
but
get the Priscilla tomorrow. Offense definitely needs it.
for sure. But everybody have a great, safe, and pleasant night. Stay cool. Go Phillies. Ring that bell against the Mets and start bouncing back to make our hopes high again. Peace out, everybody.